Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the EntreMD podcast. And I want to start today by saying you rock, okay? Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back to listen. Thank you for those of you who've written reviews. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing this episode with your friends. I had 2 docs on the same day tell me. One said, I was speaking at a conference, an international conference for rheumatologists, and I told them, hey, you need to listen to this podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. And the same day, another doc says, oh, I was at this conference and I was talking about the business of obesity medicine. I think that's what she was talking about. And she was like, you need to listen to it. She's my business coach. You need to listen to this podcast. And that is so humbling. And I'm so honored. Big shout out to the doctors who did this. You know yourselves. And thank you so much for doing that. And I'm really honored when you share because my goal is to help 80,000 doctors and every share gets me closer. So thank you so much. So much. And today we're going to have a really fun episode. A week ago, I went on a road trip with my husband. We're just going to go. And, so he wanted it to be a surprise for me. So I had no idea where we're going, but I was okay with it. It's just like, we're going to be gone from Sunday to Wednesday. I'm like, cool, let's do it. And so I live in Georgia. And so we started off with our road trip and we went to Tennessee. We went to the Gaylord Opryland. I think that's what it's called. And then after that, we were there for 2 nights. And then after that, we went to the Grove Inn Park by Omni. I think that's what it's called. Beautiful, beautiful place. And we were there for an extra night. And it got me thinking a lot. Okay. It was a really great experience. The Gaylord, literally it's like a garden conservatory. And then there's a hotel in the same space and it's all covered. And it is just beautiful. And for me, I always ask myself the question, what was the person who made this? What was he thinking? Right? So you have a garden and you have the hotel around the garden. And of course it's there a year long. So it's all roofed in. And I'm like, what were you thinking? What made you build a place like this, right? Many restaurants in there, shopping, all of that kind of stuff. I was like, convention center. What were you thinking when you built it? And then when we got to the Grove Inn, I was like, what was this person thinking? This hotel or resort is 513 rooms, okay? Made out of rocks. And it was built in 1913. We're talking no cranes, no. I'm like, what was the person thinking? Like, what made them think such a thought? 513 rooms. And when I read about it, because, I Googled it right away, and it said that they had 400 men working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week for almost a year to pull it off. I was like blown away, like totally blown away. I was like, who does this? Like, who thinks like this in 1913? Right. But anyway, when I leave my home base, it makes me think a lot. And it makes me think about we call them crazies. So the crazy people who do all these big mind blowing things. Right. And so as we were going on the trip, my husband and I started talking. So actually, you're going to get a spinoff of our conversation. And we're like, it is so easy. It is so easy to sink into your comfort zone. So easy. First of all, if you're not dreaming big, you're kind of like in your comfort zone anyway. But after you start dreaming, your natural tendency is going to be to go back into your comfort zone. And you won't know you're there because you'll look around and, you might be like, well, I'm doing really well. And that's the reason why I always put myself in rooms where I'm almost intimidated, almost, right? Because they're my constant reminder that you may have settled. And it's not from a greed standpoint. It's from a standpoint of, I want to become everything I have the potential to be. It really is as simple as that. But anyway, it's so easy. And in the comfort zone is such a dangerous place because one is that it's where greatness goes to die, right? Greatness goes there to die. And then two is that people are bored spitless there. We are designed for conquest. We are designed to conquer things. We are designed to do things that haven't been done before. We're designed to stretch ourselves. So comfort, like we may chase it, but we don't really want it. You know what I mean? Like you're just bored spitless there. But anyway, so I was like, well, why don't we look at this? How do I continually dream bigger? Right? Because if I'm continually dreaming bigger, then I'm staying out of my comfort zone. So how do I do that? How did I do that? And I came up with 3 ways, 3 of my best ways. So that's what you're going to get today. Okay. All right. Now, the first thing is find what sparks you. Find what sparks you. For me, when I take walks and just think, I get ignited. I come up with ideas. I come with crazy thoughts. I'm like, oh, wow, wait, maybe we should do this and all that stuff. When I take walks, it sparks me. Okay. When I'm in rooms where the people in there have done bigger, better things, that sparks me. Again, not from a standpoint of comparison or jealousy or even wanting to do what they did. I may not, I don't want to build a 513 room resort. I have no interest in that. What I do have interest in is, wait a minute. Well, he did what seemed impossible in his time. I want to live out my potential. I want to dream those crazy things and make them a reality. Right? So from that standpoint, being in rooms where I'm almost intimidated, that's one. Books, especially when there's stories about entrepreneurs, right? So autobiography, almost like type books, because I'm reading, I'm like, wait a minute, they have all the challenges I have, all the limiting beliefs I have, and they're moving forward. Like, what in the world? Like, it inspires me, it ignites me to no end. Love it. Same with podcasts, and all that. Being by the ocean. Again, this is why I say find what sparks you. I'm telling you what sparks me. Being by the ocean, I mean, I dream up businesses there. I do all kinds of crazy things there. It's very relaxing, but it triggers the visionary in me. The visionary in me, it just does. So when I'm by the ocean, let me tell you what my thought is. I look at the ocean and I can't see the ends of it. I can see it come up to the shore, but that's all I can see. I can't see the end of it. And then I start thinking, I'm like, God has many oceans. And to him, these are probably just like swimming pools. And I'm like, so this is one of my father's swimming pools. That's how big he thinks. I'm like, if this is one of his swimming pools, why do I think so small? What's the problem? Like literally, this is what happens to me at the ocean. I'm like, why do I think so small? Look at the vastness of this. And this is just one of many. I can dream bigger. I can believe for bigger. I can strive for bigger. I can live out more of my potential. It ignites me, being by the ocean. Oh my goodness, it ignites me. Okay. So that's what sparks me, right? And My husband's a little different. He just needs to leave the familiar, right? So, he leaves his office, he leaves his home. Sometimes he just goes on a trip or whatever. Just that process of leaving, it's kind of like when you're in a familiar place, the blinders are on, like you're doing what you've always done, da, 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 routine and all that. But the second he steps out, it's like, boof, all this stuff opens up, right? And so that works for him. And then being in a room with big dreamers and big achievers, that ignite, those are his people, because he's a big dreamer kind of guy. And so that ignites him, right? That really ignites him. Okay. So find what sparks you. What is the thing that happens in your life? And it helps you either look at a limiting belief differently, or you're like, wait a minute, like it opens new possibilities for you or whatever. Find what they are. Okay. All right. So that's number one. Number two is schedule your sparks. Schedule your sparks. Let me backtrack and tell you why I say this. I used to do this with motivation, right? Because I'm like, I'm not always motivated. Like I do some stuff and then I lose my motivation. And then I was like, you know what? If motivation has a short half-life, then why don't I just motivate myself every day? So for years, my habit was I would pick a podcast or a YouTube video, whatever, by an entrepreneur, especially one telling stories of an entrepreneur's journey. And on my way to work, I would listen to it. Now, on my way to work could be from when I'm getting ready for work and all of that, but I would listen to it. And so that way, by the time I hit the office, I'm in entrepreneur mode. I'm motivated. I'm ready to take the world. I'm ready to do all of that. And so I no longer complained about not being motivated every day, because of course I wasn't motivated every day. I just scheduled it so I would always be motivated, right? So in the same way, you want to schedule your sparks. Don't wonder why you don't stay sparked. Just schedule your sparks. You know what I mean? And so for instance, for me, my vacations have to include the ocean. My family knows that, right? Where do you want to go? Doesn't matter. You guys can choose anywhere. I just need an ocean, right? And so we would do at least 2 vacations a year, at least one couples and one family. That's the way we set it up in my home. And so I know that I'm going to the ocean at least twice. Okay. I would take walks at least 5 days a week. And I do not walk for exercise. It's the most bizarre thing. I walk for relaxation and to dream. So I take my walks at least 5 days a week. So I have those sparks that are going on. And then I'm always in rooms where people are doing big things. And big things, it doesn't always mean, some of it will be big, like their businesses are bigger and all that. Some of it is daring. Like even in the EntreMD Business School, I love my people. Like they're inspiring because they're just daring their fears. And I constantly go like, wait a minute, what am I scared of that I haven't done yet? Let me go find something scary to do. Right? I get inspired by it. So when I'm in those rooms, either where, people they've done so much that it's almost intimidating, or a room where people are daring their fears, I know. And, I get to be in there all the time. So I schedule it. Even in the business school, I have it scheduled where, starting from 2022, there'll be 2 retreats a year. Well, 2 in-person meetings. The first one will be in April, which is a business makeover mastermind, right? And so they're going to come in, they're going to get really sparked. And at the end of the year, which for us, the end of the year is October, then they come in for the vision retreat. And that's going to be by the ocean. And they're going to get really sparked. You see what I mean? Like we scheduled it. So they have those 2 retreats. They have the weekly live sessions. So they get sparked there. Then they have a Facebook group where people come in to share their wins, share their challenges, all this kind of stuff. And when we do monthly challenges, it's happening in there. So the idea is for them to continually stay sparked. That's the reason why it's set up that way. So schedule your sparks. Then the third thing is, if you want to continually dream bigger, you want to take bold steps. And the reason you want to do that is because your own results can serve as a spark too, right? I see this all the time, among physician entrepreneurs where they're like, oh, I did the Facebook Live and I didn't die. Wait a minute. So maybe I am an entrepreneur, right? It's just the way the mind works. Somebody crosses their first $100,000 in revenue. They're like, wait a minute. That means I can do $500,000, right? So what happened? That win served as a spark. Or someone's reaching out to referral sources and all of that, kept getting no's, kept getting rejected and all that. And then somebody on their dream list reaches out to them. And it's like, wait a minute, if I can be on the stage with this person, then what else could happen? People have had TV opportunities and they're like, come talk to us about COVID or come talk to us about health and all of that stuff. And their natural, normal answer would have been no. And they're like, well, no, I mean, I've heard this, like, say yes, then figure it out later. And so they go do it. And they're like, wait a minute, if I could be on TV, what else could I do? Right? So your own wins and your own bold steps will serve as a spark for you as well. Okay. But if you do this, then what happens is you stay in this place where you constantly have your eyes on a prize. And it's fine for it to be a moving target, right? Because that way you keep dreaming bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not about greed. It's not about comparing. It is about, like I think about my life like an orange. And I'm like, I am not leaving any juice in this orange. We are squeezing all of it out, right? I will serve my generation. I will serve my world. I will serve and I will do everything and walk away and leave like an empty, dead body. But I would have squeezed everything out of that. So this is about you becoming, right? Which we never become. We're always becoming everything you can be, right? So find what sparks you. Don't worry. Find what sparks you. Even if you can't find 5, find 1 or 2. Schedule your sparks and then take bold steps. Okay. And if you do this, you're going to look back and you're going to wonder, how did I become the person who could dream up these kind of things? How did I become the person who could accomplish these things? How did I become the person who thinks like this? Right. But this is how. Okay. And you're going to end up, I'll tell you this. And I had a year, 2020, where I was setting my goals for 2020. And I had a feeling that was like, what I'm going to end up with is going to look nothing like what I wrote down. It was kind of like, well, do your best, write what you can, but what you're going to end up with is going to be so much better. Because I think when you start living like this and you start dreaming and you start creating the accountability for the dreaming, the accountability to stay out of your comfort zone, you end up with a life so much better than you could have ever planned. So you do your best plan, but it always ends up being so much better. And so 2020 ended up being so much better than I could have ever dreamed. And there are things that happened in it that were they were not part of the plan. They just were not part of the plan. And, when I looked at that, I was like, wow, I had the same sense in 2021 and the year's not over, but it's been so much better, so much better. As an entrepreneur, much bigger impact, much higher revenue. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it, but I couldn't have planned that. You know what I mean? And so once you start embracing this thing of staying sparked and staying in action, taking bold steps, you create a life so much better than anything you could have ever dreamed. And that's what I want for you. Okay. So time to take action. Don't forget to share this with another doctor. And if you have left a review, come on, man, leave Dr. Una a review on iTunes. Thank you. All right. I'll see you, my friend, on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast. Hey, if you love listening to the EntreMD podcast, I want to invite you to join EntreMD On Demand. It is my signature subscription program that gives you access to a library of business courses designed to help you do one thing as a physician entrepreneur, and that is to thrive. Just head out to entremd.com/on demand, and I'd love to have you join us. See you on the inside.